Hey guys, welcome back to Trendy Gadget. Today we'll talk about why iPhone is trash. Let's head into it. Number 8. The battery life isn't really long enough yet. When Apple introduces a new iPhone each year, the company famously prioritizes a thin and streamlined aesthetic over adding a longer lasting and therefore thicker battery to the device. It's a perennial refrain that iPhone owners would much prefer an iPhone that stays the same size or even gets slightly thicker if they can get longer battery life out of the device. But so far, Apple hasn't listened. Even as each new iPhone's components and features grow more power hungry, the battery life stays about the same. Many iPhone users can get through the day without recharging, but plenty of others have taken to carrying power bricks or using charging cases to make their iPhones last the day. Number 7. Apple is stingy with storage. One of the biggest complaints about the launch of the iPhone 6s was that it was high time for Apple to do away with the 16GB entry-level iPhone, a move that it once again declined to make. 16GB of storage is nowhere near enough for a phone that can shoot 4K video, but Apple continued to offer 16GB as the entry-level option. Even worse, the company charges a steep price increase to upgrade the storage capacity, which many users do when they weigh their options: 16GB, 64GB, and 128GB. That may be a smart business move, but it's one that earned Apple a lot of disgruntled customers in the process. Number 6. Google apps aren't nearly as useful on iOS as on Android. If you're considering making a switch from Android to iOS and rely heavily on Google's apps, you should be aware that Google services aren't integrated into iOS like they are into Android. It may not be fair to characterize Google's design choices as a shortcoming of Apple's platform, but it may be an important consideration for users who live a very Google-centric life online. Even if you don't go all in on Google's apps, we still recommend replacing at least a few of Apple's stock apps with Google apps instead. So while we're fans of many of Google's apps for iOS, big Google fans will be disappointed that they aren't as integrated with each other or with the operating system as they are on Android. Number 5. The App Store makes it difficult to find the best apps. The App Store and all of the amazing apps in it are a major selling point for the iPhone. But you know what's not so great about the App Store? How difficult it is to actually discover all of the great apps listed by developers from around the world. Some of the worst things about the App Store are that it makes it difficult to actually find new apps, and that there really aren't smart or personalized recommendations. The search functionality is frustrating, and there's no good way to find sales and deals. Additionally, reviews are easy for developers to buy and difficult for users to trust, which undermines the utility of the reviews in gauging whether an app will be a worthwhile download or purchase. Number 4. Autocorrect is annoying, especially for those who don't proofread. One of the most annoying things about the iPhone is also one of the smallest. The autocorrect functionality that Apple has built into iOS is pretty prone to making erroneous and sometimes ridiculous substitutions and corrections, and instead of proofreading the text or email that we're composing, too many iPhone users simply hit send, and then either laugh or turn beet red when they look back at the message later. Overzealous autocorrect may not sound like a big deal, but if you want confirmation that it's a pretty common complaint, just take a look at your friend's Facebook posts and subsequent comments, or scroll through your message history with an iPhone-toting friend. Number 3. The iPhone's closed file system can get obnoxious. While we appreciate the security precautions that Apple takes to keep the iPhone locked down against malware, the iPhone's lack of open file system can get annoying. Files are often accessible only to a single app, and each app and its respective files are inaccessible to all the other apps you have installed. That results in a lot of extra steps if you want to move a file from one app to another, and makes it necessary to think about how you're handling your files in a way that most other modern operating systems don't require. Number 2. People get way too excited about a new iPhone launch. We'll admit, we get just as excited about a new iPhone as the rest of the internet, but we never venture near an Apple store, a carrier store, or even a big box electronics store on iPhone launch day. That's because tons of iPhone fans get way too excited when Cupertino announces and launches a brand new iPhone, and form hours-long lines at the Apple store in every city. In fact, the Apple store on launch day is one of the worst places to buy a new iPhone. We're glad that people get excited about a new iPhone every year, but you don't have to be an Android devotee to get a little bit tired of the mass hysteria surrounding an iPhone launch. Number 1. It's almost never a good time to buy a new iPhone. Despite our launch day aversion to every brick and mortar store that sells the iPhone, we have to admit that shortly after launch is the best time to buy a new iPhone. Otherwise, nailing down the right timing can be nearly impossible. If you buy a new iPhone shortly after it's introduced, then you can be assured that you have the latest, greatest iPhone for about a year. But if you've waited a quarter or two to make your move, is it still a good idea to purchase the same iPhone? At what point should you just wait for next year's release? It's a never-ending conundrum, and while the same situation may technically apply to any flagship phone line, it's especially bad for the iPhone, given the year-round speculation about the next iPhone. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.